All right, looks like we are live. Hi, everybody. We'll be talking today about Sosreport. It's a tool that we use to collect system logs and other debug information. And here's a little presentation to start us out. It's a plugin-based system to collect logs, run commands, and put all of the above in a uniquely named archive for sending to your support team. Who uses it? It's used by both Canonical support and Red Hat support, and anyone else who wants to use it. It's completely free software. And it's plugin based, so you can add your own plugins. On Ubuntu, there are 3 ways you can get it. You can grab it from GitHub. Sorry, one second. If you want the latest, you can grab it from GitHub. Canonical support also maintains a PPA with usually a newer version than the archive. And of course, it's in the archive, and you can just sudo apt install Sosreport. Now, once you get it, through either of those means, you just run sudo Sosreport and then some options. -A is the most common one. That just enables all the plugins and collects the general amount of data that you want to collect, and it runs the general commands for those plugins. A lot of the plugins have other options to do other things like collect all logs and stuff like that. Once it's done, it's going to ask you a few questions like your name so that it can generate a better file name. And then it will generate something like this in /temp. As you can see, this was on a machine named Dell Laptop, and this is a date string and a little unique identifier. So let's dive in and look in an archive. So this is let me go back a step. So here are a few Sosreports. The Sosreport archive. I have 3 of them right here, and I've extracted them. And once you go inside one of them, what you'll notice is that it looks pretty much like, or it has a lot of the same folders as a standard Linux machine. You've got var, user, lib, etc, boot, and a bunch of other ones. And of course, you have a few that are specific to SOS, SOS commands, SOS logs, SOS reports. We'll get to them in a second. And the other nice thing is you have a few shortcuts. So date, let me actually switch this to a terminal real quick. Screen share. All right, so here you can see an ls-al of that Sosreport archive, and you can see date actually redirect is a symlink to SOS commands general date. So it's ran. That's not. A better example would be install debs. So install debs is a symlink to a command with a different name, dpackage-l, which lists all the installed debs on the machine in question. So this provides a nice, easy way to see the most common things a lot of people look for right off the bat without digging into SOS commands and the specific plugin. But let's go ahead and dig into the specific plugins. Excuse me. So I just in the directory source commands, each of these different file folders is a different plugin, and in this case, this is all the commands that were run by that plugin. So if we go into source commands, printing, for instance, we're going to probably see that it ran these three commands: lpstat-d, -s, and -t. If we go into networking, we see it did things like IP address, ethtool, and other commands like that. Now, it actually is going to try to run a lot more ethtools because it's a lot more Ethernet addresses like eth1, eth2, but it's only going to display the ones that actually have data in them. And there's the one we saw earlier, source commands to package, depackage L. And this is really just the output of that command. There's no extra formatting done. You can just cap them or less them, and it's that output. Oops. If anyone has any questions at any point, just let me know, and I'll on IRC, and I'll respond to them. Sauce logs is internal logging. Not generally that useful unless something goes pretty badly with the Sosreport itself. So let's dive into Etsy. So not necessarily everything in Etsy or var or anywhere is going to be collected. It's specific to the plugin used. So for instance, AppArmor is collected by the AppArmor plugin, cron information is collected by the cron plugin, cups by cups, etc. And these are just the same files you would see. The files collected are going to be the same ones that you would see in a normal install. Let's go into var. So the machine I generated from almost certainly has more logs in this. In this case, we didn't collect any of the rotated logs. This was actually a new VM, so there weren't probably any rotated logs. But it also only collects what the plugins actually are going to show it to collect. So let's dive into reports, and then we'll dive into just looking at a plugin, and that'll be it. So Sosreport. Nobody can see that yet. All right, so this is a view that I like for looking at sauce reports from customers. I extract it, I open up sauce.html, and I can see all the collected data. So previously we were talking about cron. I click on cron. If I can find cron. And it tells me everything that was collected in the cron plugin and what commands were executed. And with that, I can easily see, I can click on it. Okay, there's no cron tab for root. Not so useful. Let's go to maybe general. So this collects a lot of the basic stuff. Etsy init, Etsy default, and hostname, date, uptime, ls, and you can run arbitrary commands. So you don't want to actually collect varlib, but you can collect an ls of it, and that can be useful for checking permissions and stuff like that to make sure, well, to make sure the files exist that you expect there, and also to make sure permissions are correct and things like that. That was not plugin general. I don't know why that showed up twice in my Sosreport, but I'll double check that later. Here's another example. An ls of /boot, when you don't want to collect everything in boot, can be really, really helpful. Specifically for finding odd things like using the wrong version of grub and stuff like that, that grub2 plugin won't be able to collect. So let's dive into the plugin code, and then we'll call it a session. And we'll look specifically at cron. So this is all that goes into a plugin. And it's the most likely way you'd want to contribute or file a bug is for a plugin issue. So just real quick, this is the cron plugin. It adds copy, so it wants to copy etc cron star, varlog cron, and varspool cron. And it's enabled for Red Hat plugin, Debian plugin, and Ubuntu plugin, which means on a Red Hat machine, a Debian machine, or Ubuntu machine, this plugin will run. For stuff that's custom to Red Hat or Debian or Ubuntu, you have that ability in the plugin architecture to select specifically, select the specific OS you want it to be running on, or do different things. So for instance, for logging, Red Hat has had journalD for longer than Ubuntu, and so they use that for their logging, whereas we still collect varlog data. And you can see right here, one of the most common options is all logs. That's an option you can specify in the command line to Sosreport to try to collect more logs than it would do normally. So right now we see under a normal copy, it copies just varlog cron, and this will collect varlog cron and all the other iteration, all the log rotated versions, so varlog cron.1 or varlog cron.1.gz or whatever. And last but not least, you can run a command, cron tab lu root, and that's pretty much the basics of plugin. There's also ways to limit the file size and other advanced topics like that, but that's the basics. The last thing I'd want to mention there, and let me see if I can't find. No, we're not going to copy shadow. Sure, we'll try this. No. The last thing I want to mention is that we try to filter out passwords. Oops. And the goal there is to make this so that you can use it for any collection that you want to use and have a good deal of certainty that you're not going to collect not personal information, but sensitive information. We try to filter out sensitive information that's not going to help with troubleshooting. And that's it for Sosreport. If anybody have any questions, I will be in the channel for a while, and I'll just ping everybody now. Otherwise, please use Sosreport. If you need to collect information from your customers, it's a great tool that, again, both Red Hat and Canonical use extensively, and we're both working to make it better. So I'll just wait a few more minutes for questions, and then I'll sign off. All right. Well, if you do have any questions about Sosreport, you can actually join us on Freenode in Sosreport, and just ask in there. Or there is also a mailing list, which is linked from the Sosreport GitHub page. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. See you.